Hi everyone, welcome back to another edition of the Velvet Lounge Life. I am going to shoot raw video again today. I know you're used to that, but yes, finally I am going to tell you about my experience and give you a review and my opinion of my experience, as I said, on with the Wendy Williams show. So, I recently got back from doing like 4 days and a half in New York. And one of the things I did while I was there is I had a little visit with the Wendy Williams show. So I did did get my ticket in advance. So you can't just like walk up and get a ticket and go in. You can't buy tickets. And so I'm just going to basically tell you from A to Z what I thought, and give you a rating. My rating system is 1 to 5, 1 being the worst, especially if I give you a 0, and a 5 being the absolute stellar, stunner, #1 superstar rating, and everything else in between. So to start with, and I'm just going to talk about the day of the show. I'm not going to talk about how I got a ticket and all that. I might do a video to explain to people how I am able to get on to any show that I request tickets for. And, you know, part of it is knowing people. And the other part is some of the shows are so average that it's pretty easy for anyone to get a ticket. And so here we go. So one of the things I was sort of surprised by when I, went to get in line, because you do have to line up for the show, you can't just like walk in the door, is I was surprised that there were not as many people as I expected, like at all, not even close. I am 99% sure that every single person got in. That is not normal for like the really awesome shows. Like if you were to do The View, for example, it is hard to get a ticket for that show. And the lines are long and lots of people do not get in. The same thing for Kelly and Ryan and some other shows as well. Because of my status, I am able to get into all of these shows and bypass the lines. This is the first time I have ever even considered doing the Wendy Williams show, basically just because what she covers, what she talks about are things that I'm honestly just not interested in. She discussed Flavor Flav, some Real Housewife show, which I've never watched before, and some dude I've never heard of, as well as Billy Bush, who gives a damn. If he did the right thing, then we wouldn't be stuck with this crappy ass, low life individual sitting in an Oval Office. And she talked about someone else who I don't even like, no one cared. Because she would ask people, did you hear about such and such and so? And maybe 3 people would reply. And she'd ask about someone else, and maybe 5 people would reply. And so most people, which should be a clue, don't care about like most of the subjects that were being discussed. So a suggestion is I would sort of revamp that. And this was her hot topic day. Nothing wrong with having hot topics, just make sure they actually are more than lukewarm. The other thing that I did not like, and lots of people complained about this, is the lineup time was 8 a.m. However, the show doesn't start for hours. There was no need, like her lineup time probably should be about 9 a.m. the earliest. So when we finally were able to get inside of the building after waiting outside forever, this is the waiting. This is where the audience lounge. The audience lounge is an unfinished basement that has been roughly painted just to add some color and not to, have people go wild because they're claustrophobic. And the bathrooms are garbage. And over to the left, you'll see a lady in a wheelchair. And right behind her, that little light blue area is a door to the loading dock. So we entered through a loading dock. And we were not pleased because people came in and, just because of her persona, they expected her to be generous, expected her to have, a nice place for the audience to wait. And also, audiences make up like 40% of why these shows really work, unless they're totally faking it. And I'm going to say in this show, it's a total farce, so it's a total fake. And, people just were shocked, surprised, and not impressed. Some people are happy just because it's their first time doing this, but I can see why it was so incredibly easy to get a ticket to this show. The VIP area is right beyond that black piece of cloth. It is not a curtain, people. It's a piece of cloth. And the only difference between that area and the recycled hotel chairs covered with these blue chair covers area is that they had a little bit better seating and some sort of space heater. This area is completely unheated. That opening that you see right there, that's the bathroom. Yeah, beautiful view. Also, in the corner back here, right back here, you can't see it in the photo, there's a card table with brown box coffee. So not a name brand coffee, some brown box stuff. And of course they kept, offering coffee to people because people were complaining about being cold. I'm not normally a cold person, but I have to tell you, it was like a mini refrigerator. You could actually feel air. So that is something that they definitely need to improve because you should respect your audience and you should truly be grateful that they're there helping you be a success. And this was definitely not a good first impression at all. Also, while you're waiting in this area, they do ask, questions, and they hand out the Ask Wendy survey or questionnaire to see if you want to do that part of the show. The thing is, unless your questions are, I'm going to say, shameful, embarrassing, salacious, they're not going to call you. So if you want to be called so that she could talk to you on air, make sure you're putting some of your private business out there that you probably never want anyone to know. And remember that it will be out there forever on the internet. So even after the show is over, if you decide that you no longer care about whoever you're going to throw under the bus, then ensure that you fill out that questionnaire with one of the filthiest, dirtiest questions you could possibly imagine, or something really mean and ugly, and you will be one of the people chosen for the Ask Wendy questionnaire thing. The other part of it is when you go in, you are given a ticket. So they do ask, what your name is. They'll check the list, make sure you're on the list, give you one of these tickets. There will be a letter on it, which is handwritten. And that is so that when they call the folks up, they'll call like section T, for example, and everyone with a T on their ticket will go stand in line and they will bring them into the studio. So they bring everyone in groups based upon what the letter is on your ticket. When you go into the studio, you are allowed to sit anywhere that you want that's open, obviously, as long as no one else is sitting in it. And, the music is pumping. The DJ is outstanding, way too good for this show. And the hype guy is off the hook. I thought that Dougie Fresh was the very best hype guy ever. He actually did work with Prince during his last concerts, and it was amazing. Like, I would go just to be part of his party if he was doing a party tour or whatever, because that's how good it was. This guy was almost that good, and I'm a critic, so that's saying a lot. He made it fun, exciting. You know, he got people to interact, to meet each other. You know, he made the wait time in the studio seem, you know, less long, because it was pretty long. These are some ladies that I met at the show. They adopted me because I went to the show by myself, and there I am. And they were really, really nice ladies from New Jersey. I would like to say hello to all three of them. And, you know, we all had the same opinion that we were kind of surprised. But once we got into the studio, you know, I have to admit that it became more, it finally became fun. The only reason it wasn't 100% miserable when we were waiting is because these three nice ladies. Otherwise, I probably would have gotten out of line, left. I probably would have gone in, saw the audience lounge, which is really just an unfinished basement with no heat, turned around, and I would have left, because it just makes no sense. And so we get in there, and the hype guy is awesome. The DJ is outstanding. This show is shot in Chelsea, which is the garment district area of New York. And even her signage was sketch questionable. This is like, is that the original sign from when she first did the show? I have no idea. But usually the shows, they will have like an area for people to take pictures. They might even have cutouts or something. Nothing like that. This place runs on an almost zero budget. Even the seats that we sat in out in the studio were old and had to be covered. So, you know, I don't know what's happening with the budget. And believe me, this show has been on the air for a while. So usually the longer a show is on the air, the better it gets. I did not see any proof of improvement when I, you know, did this show. You know, there's Wendy. That over there is a new game that they're trying out so that some of the studio audience at least can walk, if it's even true, walk away with a little bit of cash if they can answer some questions correctly about just general celebrity bullcrap. It was funny because a hype guy had called some folks up. They did like a dancing contest, and you know, they were told that they were going to win, or not win, but they were going to give them basically a gift for, you know, going up there, helping warm up the audience. I don't believe those people received anything because they left when we left. Also, she did a part of the show where she reviews products. Every single show I've ever been on over like the last 30 years, 25, 30 years, if they review products, the audience always gets some swag. Swag is when they give you things. Guess what you got? Nothing. People were promised things, and what did they get? Nothing. So and people were expecting stuff too. So it was really disappointing. I felt like, you kind of felt a little bit dirty after like wasting your time doing the show. And also at the end, we were held up for like maybe another 30 minutes or longer so they could shoot some extra segments that they claimed they were going to use the audience in. They never used the audience. So we wasted our time like by sitting there when we should have had a mass walkout. A few people I think did walk out from what I could tell. And what else can I tell you about this show? I talked about that. I have that. Oh yeah. So when it was time to leave, finally we were able to leave. We all exited by going down, I'm going to say like 4 or 5 flights of stairs. I have no issue with the stairs, but I watched older people struggle with the stairs. I was behind one lady, and then I quickly got in front of her just in case she fell, so I can hopefully save her. So that did not happen. There were people wearing spiky high heels as they were instructed to wear high heels. And I was like, wow, that's like a lawsuit waiting to happen. Finally, when people get down to the final floor where you can exit the building, the exit was out where they keep all of the dumpsters. It smelled horrible to high heaven. The scent was, okay, to low hell. It was stinking so badly. And people felt so disrespected that they had to exit out where the dumpsters were. Like gigantic New York City. In Connecticut, we would consider those construction dumpsters. I could drive my Toyota Sequoia in one of those dumpsters. And it was like the final disrespect, as far as I was concerned, of doing this show. I would not recommend, honestly, anyone do her show, only because there are a lot of shows out there that are way better than this, that respect their audience, that will, give you some swag, maybe a gift card. Some of them actually will pay you for doing their shows. This is not one of them. And also you will have a comfortable, clean, heated, nice audience lounge where you actually will feel as if you're somewhere that's special. Some of them, their hype guys are not as good. They use comedians that, are not really the funniest in the world. But they're trying, they're doing what they do. So that is where her show is the absolute best, is with a hype guy and the DJ. If it wasn't for those two, this show would suck so badly. And even like when she was doing her topics, I found it to be very boring. And other people did as well. But the DJ would come back at the break and he would warm us up again. And, thank God we were able to survive the Wendy Williams show. So I give this show a rating of, are you ready? A 2.75. The reason that I gave it a 2.75 out of 5 is because the DJ and the hype guy were excellent. I wish they worked for a better show. I hope they're getting paid way more than they probably are getting right now, because they don't understand how much they're carrying that show by keeping that audience engaged and making the show seem way more exciting and fun and glamorous than it really is. When you see it on television, you're not seeing the behind the scenes. When you're there looking at it behind the scenes, you are sort of just flabbergasted as to why, things are so cheap. And it's almost like, I won't say what I was going to say because it would have been pretty bad. But it's definitely a no budget show, basically. If you were in a high school or middle school doing a middle school play, you would feel more special behind the scenes than you would have at this show. So I recommend, and so I'm going to give you some recommendations, that if you can get to The View, try to get tickets for The View. Kelly and Ryan. The Good Morning America show, Michael Strahan has a show. Those are really awesome shows. Even the Dr. Oz show, even though it's not my vibe, I've done that show a couple times, but I don't like the topics usually. I did like a few of the topics, but a lot of them I don't, because I don't believe in like trying to sell miracle cures that really don't work and are just a bunch of bull crap. But other things that he's done in the show, I like the way they treat their audience, even though their audience lounge could use improvement as well, but at least they will give you snacks, beverages, so you're not sitting there suffering all day. They also engage the audience a lot, which is really nice. The staff is stellar on that show. The staff on the Wendy Williams show is, I would give them an average rating, like a 3. They're not very friendly. They're just okay. They're just fine. So Dr. Oz, I remember at one point saying I would never do a show again because I hated the topics and, trying to get people to take stuff that makes no sense. But like I said, would I do it again? I would do his show over her show any day. I think I gave his show a rating of a 3 or 3.25. And that's just because I don't believe in some of the topics. That's the only reason why. He was a very nice fellow. He was not afraid to talk to the audience or engage the audience. Wendy kind of stands back and she has like what appeared to be some security guys or whatever. It's like, you are not in the CIA. You are not that important. Your show is not even that good. I've never watched the show on television. I've watched snippets of it online before I went to the show just to see, what I was getting into and if I wanted to get into it and if I wanted to go and review the show. So those are my opinions. I liked Wendy when she was a DJ. I wish that, she probably really should shut this show down and come back refreshed, brand new, come back with, a nicer studio, come back with, an area that your audience will respect. Come back and, give some stuff, because usually the companies that are represented on the show, they're the ones that actually are sending their merchandise to be given away. But, nothing was given away. I mean, that's pretty shady. So anyway, be better than your lukewarm topics, and hopefully you will do better in the future, Wendy Williams. And I still won't come to your show, which is fine, but hopefully those that really are your fans will respect you more if they ever go to your show, and they won't be disappointed. So thank you guys for tuning in. Please give me a thumbs up. If you've ever been to a show and participated in a studio audience, let me know. I know that I always, get requests to go and to do all these shows in California and New York. So I've done lots of them. If you leave a comment down below, then what I'm going to do is select one person and send you information as to how you can get tickets to other shows, and especially if you're in the New York or the California area. If you're not in those areas, don't waste your time, because it's not worth you like flying from Texas, for example, to New York to do one of these shows unless you already plan on being there. And sometimes trying to sync up the schedules doesn't always work. Always there's wording on these tickets that it's not guaranteed that you will get into the show. Here's all the legalese. So if you're in the New York area or the tri-state area, if you are close to California or in California, like I said, leave a comment below. Give me a thumbs up or give me a thumbs down. Maybe you're a big ass Wendy fan and you're like, I don't give a crap. Her crap doesn't stink regardless. Then leave an opinion. I'm okay with that. And I will, like I said, select one person to send information so that you can go and participate, hopefully in one of your favorite shows. So thank you guys. Have a good evening, day, afternoon, whatever it is. Take care. Remember that your health is wealth.